Like me to try.
Shut up.
Suit yourself. Better watch it anyway. They'll be bringing the food down soon.
I know.
What's the matter?
I'll tell you what's the matter. We went to all the trouble of taking this file before we boarded, hiding it and saving it until we could use it safely. And it's no good.
That's a good file, that is. I bet the engineer I pinched it off, so I've been mad about losing it. Smooth as silk. Can you beat that now?
They must be making these handcuffs of resistant metal these days.
Well, it's so long since I wore any, I wouldn't know.
It's the first time I've worn them, and the last.
Oh, well, that depends, doesn't it? I mean, I've heard about you, Ladiver. You've broken just about every law they ever made in space, haven't you? They're not going to let you get away in a hurry.
If they land us on Earth, we're both finished. You realise that, don't you?
Oh, I'm finished anyway. All they'll do with you is put you in one of the Atlantic underwater prisons. But me, well, they're not too happy about slave trade.
Not too happy? The judge won't even bother to put the black cap on his head.
All right, I know.
I thought you were a bit too calm about it. It doesn't quite fit. Harry Sline facing death with a brave smile, shaking hands with the warders and waving a cheery hand to the executioner.
Leave me alone.
That's just the point, my friend. Where I go, you go. That's important because I intend to go, and if I can't get the handcuffs off, it means we're partners.
You don't think I'd stop at the chance for escaping, do you?
No, but I like to know where I am. Don't pretend you've given up. You and I can get on better by being open with each other. And don't think by telling any of the crew I'm planning an escape it'll get you off the death penalty. It won't.
I know that. What do you think I'm going to do? Throw away the only chance I've got? Ladiver,
What?
is there any chance of escape?
There's always a chance. There are 2 scheduled stops for refueling at satellite stations. It'll have to be at one of those. Once they get us landed on Earth, we're finished. It's got to be at one of the satellites. It's got to be. Unless...
What?
Unless we could take over the spaceship. There are only 3 in the crew. Captain, co-pilot and radio pictures operator. A couple of passengers.
All well armed.
I know that.
And we're in the storehold. There must be at least half a dozen safety pressure doors between here and the pilot's cabin.
There are 7 exactly.
How do you know?
Because I used to be a space flyer, held an astronaut A2 license.
I can calculate star positions, but it's no good, Ladiver. We'd never get through those doors. Even if we did, they'd blast us into dust.
We've got to think of everything.
What's that? Ladiver, what is it? What's happening?
Meteorite storm. We must be rocketing right through it.
One of them's hit us. We'll be blown to smithereens.
Oh, shut up whining. Didn't you run into any meteorite storms on your slave trading runs between Mars and Venus?
There's another one. That fool Redway's flying right into him. We've got to stop him. We've got to make him turn the ship.
Don't be a fool.
I'm going to go...
You're not going anywhere.
He'll kill us, Ladiver. He'll kill us.
What the devil are you two doing?
Sline got
I
frightened.
thought you were dancing.
Very funny.
Well, reassure your friend. The meteorites aren't actually hitting us.
I know that. It's the force field around them bouncing off our anti-magnetic shield.
No, you know something about it, do you? Of course, you used to be a space flyer before you turned crook, didn't you?
Yes, the 24-hour day, 7-day a week for the rest of my life didn't appeal to me.
I suppose you did all right while you lasted. It says on your dossier, You've cached away about 30 million somewhere.
They're exaggerating. It's only 25 million.
I'm sorry you'll never be able to spend it.
I bet you are. You wouldn't have any ambition to help me spend it, I suppose.
Now that's what I call high-class bribery. What would it be, 50-50?
You can do a lot with 12.5 million, Slater.
It's a temptation. I'm not giving in to it, but it's a temptation, alright?
Oh,
How about splitting Sline and me up?
Alright, there's an ankle hole behind you. Face the wall.
You wouldn't trust your own mother, would you?
My dear white-headed mother hasn't made a fortune out of selling uranium to the wrong people. You nearly started a war in space, do you know that?
It's something for the history books.
And don't flatter yourself. They're not going to put you in with the great men. They might find a couple of lines for you and a record of the most stupidest.
What's happening here, Bob?
Just making the passengers more comfortable for dinner, Captain.
What's the matter with him?
He got scared. I helped him get over it.
I see.
Thought I'd better split them up.
Yes, quite right. The meteorite storm has deflected our course.
No? Seriously?
I've asked Rocket to give us a pre-selected course to the nearest planet, just to be on the safe side. I don't like deflections.
It means the program circuits are shorting.
I know exactly what it means. But perhaps you would like to take over the ship, Mr. Ladiver.
Thanks for the mister, but the sarcasm goes right over my head. Redway.
I'd better radio pick to Satellite 2 and let them know.
I've asked Rocket to do it, since you were busy here.
Oh, fine.
what about the food? I'm starving.
Can't we get any hot drinks on board this crate?
Water won't boil at the speed of light, Ladiver. I'd have thought you'd have known that. What's the matter?
I've put the ship on auto-robot. The radio pick's gone dead.
What?
It was alright before.
Well, it isn't now. There was smoke coming out the back of the main receiving set.
What?
I turned off the power, but it looked a real old mess to me, Bob.
You'd better have a look at it, Bob. See what you can do.
Right.
And don't say anything to the passengers. I haven't even told them we're making an unscheduled landing yet.
Understood.
Not that I think anything would ruffle the Professor. Or his assistant.
Little Miss Iceberg. Do you know, I went down to the passenger lounge on my last rest period and I asked her if she was comfortable, you know, just trying to be friendly. Well, she managed a yes, but the look she gave me, I felt icicles forming on my nose.
She's a bit aloof, but she isn't as bad as that, Rock.
Listen, if you try to hold her hand, you'd get frostbite.
So you're going to have to land on a planet, are you, Redway?
That's right. And don't think we won't be watching you twice as hard.
The only thing I care about is that I might get some decent food instead of this peg swill.
You're a big talker, aren't you? Like to throw your weight about, let everybody see what an important man you are.
You mean, were?
Oh yes, that's right. Do you know, Rock, Ladiver was talking so loudly I quite forgot he's on his way to Atlantic Prison on Earth. You'll like it there, Ladiver. No bars on your cells in the deeps. Just a solid glass wall and fish staring in at you. And do you know something? I'm not sorry for you. One little bit. Let's get back. The auto-robot should have taken us into Scaro's orbit by this time.
Yes. I plotted the best approach.
He doesn't like you too much, does he?
Did you hear what he said?
What?
Where we're landing. He said Scaro.
Oh, I've lost count of all these little places. Here, wait a minute. Scaro? Well, that's the planet of the Daleks, isn't it?
That's right. The planet of the Daleks.
And yet, I felt we were being watched, Redway, as we walked here from the ship.
There still aren't very many of the Thal people on Scaro, Professor. And they tend to wander. They may be hundreds of miles away.
And if they are here,
What was that old phrase? The natives are friendly.
you must forgive my ignorance, Redway. The nearest I've been to Scaro is about 1,000,000 miles.
I think it's the first time for all of us. Interesting place, though.
I wonder what it was like when the Daleks were alive.
Well, of course, strictly speaking, the Daleks aren't dead, you know.
No?
After the war with the Daleks, our people simply turned off the source of their power.
Didn't that kill them?
No. They're powerless. Useless, if you like. But they aren't dead. Just dormant. Waiting.
You make it sound quite horrific, Redway. As if they might break out and attack us at any moment.
Perhaps the Daleks with the eyes you felt on your back.
From all I've heard, I hope not.
It's much cooler here.
Yes, I thought we might make this our base while the radio pick's repaired.
Does that mean you'll move your prisoners out here too?
I'd like to keep them in the ship, but they'd roast alive. As it is, the engineer will have to work on the repairs in short bursts.
Why don't you disconnect the communications set and have it repaired out here?
Yes, that's not a bad idea. Thank you, Miss Clements.
I don't know why you didn't think of it yourself.
I expect Captain Redway would have done in time, my dear. And you're quite sure we're safe from these Daleks, are you?
Quite sure.
Well, I, for one, am quite glad you had to land on Skaro, Captain. It's an excellent opportunity to make notes.
Now I know what a camel feels like,
Put them down gently. Some of the things are breakable.
including me. Anybody got a drink of water? I never get weather like this on my holidays.
You're sitting on the test tube case.
You don't think anything will hatch out, do you? Well, thanks very much for bringing the cases, Rocket. Oh, that's quite all right. It was only a 2-mile trot. Oh, you must be hot. Why don't you have a rest? Oh, thanks very much. I think I will.
Bob all right?
Yes, he's bringing the other two along.
Did he have a look at the radio pick?
Yes, it's badly done in. He says he can repair it all right, but he doesn't know how long it'll take.
I hope we don't have to hang about on Skaro too long.
Oh, it's all right here now. Nobody's seen a Dalek for years. Yeah!
Don't be frightened. It's harmless.
Thanks very much. Why didn't somebody tell me?
Thanks, Professor.
Tell me about your communications, Captain. How bad is it really?
It can be repaired.
I'm surprised you didn't keep on going until we found a more inhabited planet.
It's not quite as easy as that. For one thing, there's the danger of fire. At the speed of light, a small, uncontrolled fire would turn the ship into a blazing torch in 10 seconds.
I see.
Then, of course, even if we had kept going, we might have wanted to land on a planet where there was heavy air traffic. With no communications to guide us down, all sorts of trouble could happen. No, it had to be Skaro.
Aren't you having any water, Miss Clements?
Not just now.
You don't drink during working hours.
What?
Nothing. What's this nightmare?
Put it back, please.
Looks like a Christmas present for your worst enemy. What do you collect all these things for, Miss Clements?
Studying disease on all the planets.
Oh, well, it's better than watching television, isn't it?
You don't take anything seriously, do you?
Of course I do. You should see me when I'm flying, keen-eyed, untiring, nerves of steel.
I suppose that explains why you're an assistant and navigator instead of being a fully fledged pilot.
Yes, I suppose it's a bit of a come-down, talking to just a co-pilot. Still, I don't mind if you don't. After all, you're just an assistant too, aren't you?
Go away. I'm trying to work.
Do you know, I had an idea you were trying to be rude. How silly of me. Here comes the Brothers Grimm.
Park yourselves down there. Rock, I've brought some stuff on the hand trailer. Could you start getting it in?
Right.
I want a word with the skipper.
Skipper? When are you going to grow up? This isn't a game of football.
Funny you should say that. I feel like giving something a great big kick.
Got a drink of any kind, miss?
Don't worry, we won't eat you.
No, we only just had dinner. About time too. Could die of thirst.
Yes, Bob.
I've had the whole workings of the radio pick out.
Is it bad?
Oh, I can fix it in time. The point is, it wasn't a fault.
What was it then?
Sabotage.
Tell me.
The radio pick was working perfectly about an hour before the trouble because we crossed the path of that Venus freighter.
Yes, I remember.
But sometime after that, and before the meteorite storm, someone dropped a handful of iron filings into the transistor circuit. It must have been like a miniature sandstorm.
All damaged?
All totally destroyed. Of course, we've got plenty of spares, but most of the leads are worn through. And that isn't going to be easy at all.
But it can be done.
Yes.
All right, just say what help you need. We can have the radio pick dismantled and brought out here if it's cooler to work here.
Skipper, mending the machine isn't all, is it? Somebody deliberately sabotaged it. Whoever it was knew exactly what would cause the most trouble and where.
Yes, I know. We'll have to backtrack and find out who was nearest the machine between... Oh, I see.
Exactly. When we came into contact with that Venus freighter, we had to identify everyone on board.
And so, one after another, each one of us stood in front of the radio pick for 10 seconds.
Time enough to drop in a handful of iron filings, more than enough time. It would take a little while for the filings to percolate down into the transistor circuits. So he could have been the first person to stand in front of the machine, or the last.
I don't think we have to look very far for our culprits, Bob. Ladiver used to be a space pilot once. He'd know how the machines work, and how to sabotage them for that matter. Constant watch on the prisoners then, number 2.
Yes, sir.
Marion, my dear, help me clear this foliage away, will you? I'd like to examine this creature.
What is this, anyway?
Well, the skipper told me to bring all the perishables. The temperature in the ship was hitting the 90s, so I thought I'd better bring this out.
Probably just another load of pickled monsters.
Go on, you two. Give us a hand here.
Amazing creation, isn't it?
Terrifying.
Oh, don't worry, Marion. The captain assures me the Daleks are powerless.
Powerless? Don't you mean dead?
No, it's a strange fact, but a true one, that you can't really kill a Dalek. Well, I ought to qualify that. You can destroy them, of course.
What you mean is, Captain, you can't imprison them or rehabilitate them.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, my dear, imagine if locusts became tremendously intelligent on Earth and human beings had to make war on them. We might defeat them, but how could we train them? Their intelligence is of a different order. Never in a million years could we make them allies or friendly or non-combatant. Death has no terror for them. It is not final, nor is it corrective for the race as a whole. As you destroy one Dalek, so another takes its place. And not from any feelings of courage or bravery as we understand those words, simply because the Daleks only understand success or destruction.
Then why not destroy every single one of them?
Perhaps for the very reason that sets human beings apart from other species. Compassion.
Even for a creation of evil like this?
Even so.
They don't deserve any mercy.
Of course, a large number of them were destroyed in the war 50 years ago.
Yes. Strange to think that it is almost exactly 50 years ago. It's this weather, of course. So hard to believe it's December.
How does that old rhyme go? Remember, remember the Dalek December.
With Paris in ruins and London an ember. In times of the future when fears are abating, don't try to forget them, the Daleks are waiting, quietly planning and scheming and hating, remember.
Blimey.
Yes, do you mind?
What do you think you're doing, trying to frighten Miss Clements?
Never mind Miss Clements. I'm petrified.
What are you up to, Ladiver?
What do you mean?
You know what I'm talking about. Making us land on Skaro.
With these on?
You wrecked our communications, knowing we'd have to put down on Skaro. Why?
Not why. Ask yourselves how. How could I?
Because we know you were inches away from the radio pick when that freighter crossed our path and demanded identification. You had a perfect opportunity to spread iron filings into the works.
Oh, filings, was it?
You know it was.
And where did I get those from?
How do I know? You did it, that's all that matters. What's behind it?
Maybe I get airsick.
You had a reason. Now, What was it?
Take it easy, Skipper. He isn't going to give anything away.
I'm warning you, Ladiver. You'll be watched every single second. If you so much as raise an eyebrow when you shouldn't, I'll have you locked up inside the ship and you'll roast there like a Sunday joint.
He means it, Ladiver. Don't talk out of turn.
I didn't start it.
No, I heard him. He came barging over here accusing Ladiver of all sorts of things.
And you're innocent, of course.
I am.
That's what they all say.
I'd better go after him. Rock, keep an eye on things.
I am. But, oh, I see. Yes, all right. What about this crate, Miss Clements? Shall I open it for you?
Don't ask me.
It's got your name on it. Well, the professor's anyway.
I don't understand. This isn't one of my cases.
I've never seen it before.
It must be. Look at the stenciling.
I can't help that. All my big cases are self-refrigerating.
There couldn't be two Professor Vanderlins, could there?
The Professor is quite unique.
Oh, thank you, my dear. Most complimentary. Don't you think we ought to solve this little mystery?
Why not?
If you take my advice...
I can't see why anyone should.
Nevertheless, I wouldn't open that crate if I were you.
Do you know what's inside it then?
No,
Then why not open it?
because once it's open, whatever is inside is available to any one of us.
You know, Ladiver, you're a strange person. You know something about this. You want me to open it, yet you're warning me not to.
Psychology. Tell the child not to eat sweets, and he will.
Whose side are you on, anyway?
I'm interested in your remark, Mr. Ladiver. Why did you choose the phrase available to any one of us? Is someone else in doubt?
I didn't put iron filings in the radio pick machine.
We've only got your word for that.
And I didn't bring any luggage on board, let alone that thing.
But you could have arranged it. You know, the more we talk about it, the more I want to know what we've got here. Something to help you escape, Ladiver.
Keep it sealed and that ends it, doesn't it?
No. Better the devil you know.
It seems to be full of these things.
What are they?
I don't know. There are dozens of them in here.
Very peculiar. Of course, I'm no engineer, but it appears to be a machine of some kind, wouldn't you say?
Yes. The metal's smooth. Can't see a joint anywhere.
There's a tiny hole in the metal case, though. I wonder what that's for.
Keep away from them.
I was only looking.
For all we know, there might be some kind of explosive. You two had better move away. Over there, out of trouble.
Huh? Well, what's the matter?
Come on, move.
Right, it's all on the go here, isn't it?
Miss Clements,
Yes?
would you bring that hand trolley over here, please?
What's happening?
It's all right. Just taking precautions.
We have a mysterious crate of unidentifiable objects, Captain. My name's on the crate, but these things certainly don't belong to me.
That's just in case you get any funny ideas about making a run for it.
So, Ladiver had this stuff delivered on board with your name on it.
Well, everything points to Ladiver. Frankly, the purpose of these black boxes defeats me. You know, when you hold the box in the right light, you can just see there's some sort of point here, in this little hole in the base. A pin of some kind.
I suppose it put you out a lot when we had the crate brought out from the ship.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Or did you hope it would be brought out? Of course, that's why it's marked to be kept in a cool place. You wrecked the communications knowing we'd have to land. You'd worked out the journey knowing we'd run into trouble somewhere near Skaro. You know the temperature on Skaro. You work it out, we'll unload the crate and take it with us to a cooler spot. Then what?
Oh, I put away my crystal ball and start reading tea leaves.
Why don't you tell us what the black boxes are for, Ladiver?
For a very good reason. I don't know. I didn't arrange to have them put on the ship. I never saw them before one of your men opened the crate.
Very convincing. You're being very stupid, you know.
Well, everybody else is around here, so I might as well follow suit. Do you really expect anyone to believe that Harry Sline or I could really pull the strings from our cell on the satellite prison and have a crate of black boxes delivered on board your ship? How do we find out which ship is taking us to Earth? How do we know when it's going to leave? And how long do you imagine it took to construct those black boxes? Harry and I were only in prison 8 days. And then later, in your ship on our way to Earth, are you trying to tell me we knew that Venus freighter would cross our path, making it necessary to identify each one of us in front of the radio pick? How did we know? Well, go on, tell me. How?
I must admit, you put up a very good defense, Mr. Ladiver.
You don't imagine he'd have worked out a clever plan like this without knowing all the moves, do you?
It's your business, of course, Captain. I was merely saying that Mr. Ladiver presents a logical argument, that's all.
Well, look at it another way. Suppose Ladiver wanted to land on Skaro. You all know Skaro is out of bounds. So Ladiver had these black boxes made and then lets himself get caught by the Unispace police. Working out which spaceship will take him to Earth wouldn't be all that difficult. Remember, Ladiver is known to have millions hidden away, and millions in gold bullion too. It wouldn't be difficult to bribe the right official. None of us know the air lanes between the prison satellite and Earth, but maybe Ladiver found out. And that's how he would know that we'd crossed the path of that Venus freighter. He had the iron filings ready.
Iron filings?
That's what Ladiver dropped into the radio pick machine. They filtered down to the transistor circuits and destroyed them. He knew that would force me to land on the nearest planet. Ladiver worked it out to the last inch, I tell you, so don't fall for any stories he might have ready.
Very ingenious.
You see what Ladiver's trying to do, don't you? He's trying to throw suspicion on one of us, make us lose confidence in each other. That improves his odds, gives him more chance of escape. No more protests of innocence, Ladiver?
Not for the moment.
Until you think of something else, don't bother. We'll be watching you every minute.
That'll be nice.
Number 1.
Yes, sir?
I want a full report on all that's happened, independent of my own log. Take statements from the passengers. Clear?
Yes, sir.
All you've done is earn yourself another 10 years on your sentence, Ladiver. I'll see your face when the court gives it out, too.
We all have our own peculiar ways of enjoying ourselves.
Check those hand manacles, number 1. You have my authority to add ankle cuffs, too, if you see fit.
Yes, sir.
Captain?
Yes? I'm sorry about all this trouble. You want to know when you'll get back to Earth, of course.
Not exactly.
We all know you'll do everything you can.
Why has Ladiver done all these things?
I'd have thought that was obvious, to effect his escape.
You know, you needn't spare us, Captain. Miss Clements and I have been in plenty of danger in our time, haven't we, my dear?
You see, the way you were talking, Ladiver deliberately getting caught in order to come to Skaro, why? What do you think he's up to?
I don't know.
Perhaps the secret lies in those little black boxes.
Yes.
I mean, if, as you say, he has them constructed and brought here by this complicated plan, well, if we could find out what they're for, surely this answers everything.
Let's have another look at them. We might try cutting it right down the centre. Trouble is, if there's any explosives inside.
You think that's what they are? Bombs of some kind?
Perhaps.
You don't think they could be radios?
Why should Ladiver go to all this trouble to bring a crate of radios to Skaro?
What's the matter?
Wait a minute. Bob, have you got one of the black boxes over there?
No.
No, Skipper.
One of them's missing.
Are you quite sure they aren't just out of place?
It's moving.
Yeah, but what are we waiting
Well,
around here for? Till one
did
of
you
those
see where
things
it went?
burns
Shut
to
up,
dust.
snivelling, you
No,
little
I-
rat. Is that all?
All right,
Right,
fine.
quiet down.
Move,
Thank
I
you.
tell you.
I
All
just
right,
had to
quiet,
say-
everybody.
We can take off in the
Watch
ship
it.
any time at all.
I said shut up! It's no good panicking. This would be simple if we had the communication system working. We could simply whistle up the security space boys and that'd be that.
But you haven't got a good communication system, have you, Redway?
If any one of these people is harmed because of what you have done, Ladiver, I will personally see you suffer for it.
Brave words, Captain. The voice of authority, upholder of law and order, defender of the weak. Ugh.
Take it easy, Captain.
Yeah, that's a fine thing to do, hitting a man when he's all chained up.
You can't really blame the captain, you know. I suppose you all saw what that Dalek had on its back.
I
What do you
turned
mean?
away. I couldn't bear to.
You saw it, didn't you? The Dalek had one of these black boxes attached to it. Just before it started to move, we'd found out one of the black boxes was missing. You may remember.
Now we know where it went.
More important than that, we know what the black boxes are for. I suppose I'm guessing, not something I do normally, but everything points to these black boxes being some form of contained power.
Enough to make a Dalek move.
You saw it move, Mr. Smith.
But how? Where's the electric lead? It seems a bit of a long shot.
Maybe. But I told you about the tiny hole in the base of it. And I also told you, I remember, detecting some sort of needle or point inside the hole.
What of it?
Well, if my theory is correct, the base, this part here, is a powerful magnet. Once it comes into contact with metal, the pin pierces the metal and establishes electrical contact, flooding power into the Dalek like a blood transfusion.
But, Professor, one electrical point?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, surely you need more than one point to supply electricity.
I think the professor is quite right.
Of course you do.
The Daleks, you must remember, are powered by static electricity.
How long do you think the black boxes will make a Dalek run?
I've no idea at all. But they're expensive-looking gadgets. Very expensive. This isn't a torch battery of the 20th century we're talking about. This is a minute power unit, manufacturing enormous energy. Probably capable of providing impulses for days, maybe even weeks.
Well, that sounds fine, but what I want to know is who stuck the black box on the Dalek?
Oh, me, of course. It had to be me. That was the idea in the first place. Rig the breakdown in the ship, blame me for smuggling that crate of boxes on board the ship, and now blame me for putting the box on the Dalek and bringing it back to life.
Of course it was you.
With those chains on?
Don't argue with me, number two.
I'm sorry, Skipper, I'm only trying to be logical about it.
I tell you, don't let this man talk you into believing he's being misjudged. He will stop at nothing to escape.
Oh, yes. What was it you'd said I'd done? Deliberately had myself caught so that I could ferry that crate of black boxes to Skaro. And why? Oh, to escape, of course. What the blazes are you trying to do, Redway? That's the flimsiest story I ever heard in my life.
We can only guess at the strange way your mind works, Ladiver. But try this for size. You know how difficult it is to get to Skaro. You'd be stopped and detained in the sky thousands of miles away. But you wanted to come to Skaro, didn't you? You wanted to come here so badly, you were even ready to let yourself be arrested to do it.
And why do I want to come to Skaro, Redway?
Something to do with the Daleks. You had those black boxes made. They operate the Daleks. Could it be you want to control them somehow?
Is that the plan?
It has a touch of evil genius about it.
It nearly succeeded, too.
Yes, it's a brilliant idea, all right.
But there's a piece missing, surely. How do I control those creatures? Giving them static electric power isn't enough. I have to be able to control their actions too. And the Daleks don't take kindly to control, we all know that. So how exactly do I control them, Redway?
It isn't going to happen, so don't waste time.
I'm waiting for an answer.
If I hear another word out of you, I will have you gagged and bound. We've had enough out of you. The courts on Earth can have the last word. Number one,
Yes, sir?
Stay here and watch the prisoners. I'm holding you directly responsible for them. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Number 2, I want that crate of black boxes loaded on the trailer and taken back to the ship. I know it's a haul, but they'll be safer there.
Yes, sir.
You two can load it on the trailer for him.
Well, now, I don't know whether that's right, Captain. I'm sure there's a law what says...
There is also a law of survival that says you'll load that crate on the trailer in double quick time. It's for your own good as well as ours. I presume you don't want an army of Daleks coasting around blowing us all to bits?
Here, give us a hand, Ladiver.
Right.
Miss Clements, I'd like you to stay in sight of Mr. Smith here, please.
Why?
I would have thought that was obvious.
My dear,
I might remind you, Captain Redway, that I'm a passenger of your ship, not one of your crew, and my ticket has been paid for.
You may not be aware of your proper position, Miss Clements, or mine. In normal conditions, you will receive every attention and courtesy I and my crew can provide. We obey your orders.
Precisely.
In emergencies, I assume full control. Absolute command. Is that understood? So you will do as I tell you to, and no arguments either.
Apparently, they didn't teach you any manners in your flight school, Captain.
I'm too worried about saving lives to concern myself with injured feelings. Keep her in sight, number 1. That's an order.
Yes, sir.
Disobey me, Miss Clements, and I will have you escorted back to the ship and locked in. Professor, you can see I've had to deploy my men on various essential duties. Will you come with me and search for that Dalek?
of course, Captain, of course. Anything I can do to help.
I ought to have shot it to pieces, but frankly, I was so utterly taken by surprise.
We all were.
I'll issue you with a detonator gun. I'd better warn you, it may be very dangerous work.
I won't let you down.
Professor Vanderlyn is an expert shot.
Well, that's good to hear. Frankly, it shouldn't be difficult to track the Dalek down. This place hasn't been used for 50 years, remember? The leaves and the dust will make the Dalek leave a track a blind man could follow.
Why track it down anyway? Why don't you get everybody back into the ship and blast off?
And leave the Dalek running around loose?
What real damage can one Dalek do, Redway? For heaven's sake, use your intelligence. Get into the sky and let space patrols deal with it.
With no communication system, as you know so very well, we couldn't warn anybody until we reached a planet or one of the satellite stations.
All right, so it has to wait, but why risk everybody's lives?
You're marvellous, so convincing. To hear you talk, anyone would think you really care about other people. No, Ladiver. Do you think I don't know what one Dalek can do? When we won the war 50 years ago, we only immobilized them, turned off the power of the Daleks.
You make it sound like switching off an electric light. You fool, the Dalek static power was destroyed.
As far as we know, it was. Only as far as we know. But suppose they have a secret source of power. Isn't that why you liberated one Dalek, Ladiver, hoping it would go off and bring the rest of them back to life?
And then die here with the rest of you when the Daleks attack?
Oh, but they'll be grateful to you for liberating them. That's what your plan is, isn't it? Come on, Professor. Just talking to this maniac makes me physically sick.
The fool. The blind, stupid fool.
He's trying to make up for all the trouble you've caused him, chum, so watch the insults behind his back, would you?
Tracking the Dalek will be easy, he says. Dust and leaves. What does he think the Daleks are anyway? As stupid as he is?
Sounds logical enough. The city hasn't been used for years and years.
Do you think the Daleks don't know that? Do you think that machine is just going to run around happily laying a trail for anyone to follow? Of course it isn't. The Daleks are twice as clever and 4 times as cunning as we give them credit for.
You sound as if you know something about them.
I know something about them.
Well, if you think you can persuade us you're on our side, Ladiver, forget it. We know you brought those black boxes, and we know you put one of them on the Dalek and gave it power again.
Redway may have had something when he said the Daleks might have a secret power supply ready to turn on.
Well, I'm off for the long, long walk.
Well, you'll be safe here anyway.
Oh, don't start fussing around me.
I hope you're not going to make things difficult for me, Miss Clements.
And what's that supposed to mean?
Just that if I have any more back answers from you, I'll chain you up with Ladiver and Sline.
You wouldn't dare.
I don't make threats. I'm all for the quiet life, me. The last time I was on Earth, about a year ago, girls were still supposed to be gentle creatures, very much the weaker sex, and happy to be so. What happened to you?
I happen to be one of the few female space travellers. I don't expect any different treatment than a man.
But you can tell Captain Redway off for being short on manners when he's only doing his duty.
Ugh, you think you're so clever.
I just want to do what I have to do as easily as possible. I have to guard the prisoners. Do you know anything about food?
I do not.
Neither do I. But I'm busy, so you're elected. Break open the food boxes and dish out something to eat, if you please.
Is that an order?
It can be a suggestion or an order. But do it. All right, you two. Make yourselves comfortable wherever you like, but don't make any sudden moves.
Oh, you're in command here, I can see that, Mr. Smith. A proper old dictator you are. I bet you give your wife a right old time.
I'm not married.
All right, you don't have to stand over me. I'm getting the food. Although why I should, I can't imagine.
It's the force of my magnetic personality. I'm sorry if I was rude.
You were.
You asked for it.
Perhaps.
This is the food box.
Oh.
Yeah, you're a cunning one, mate.
Hmm?
Doing all this business, getting yourself arrested so you could come to Skaro. Clever that is. You know, we'd make a good team, you and me.
Yes.
I like a man who plans things. It's method what works in the end. Just like me, you know. 7 years I worked up a good slave trade. I mean, it was just supply and demand, wasn't it? No harm in that, you might say. Plenty of people on Venus, not many on Mars. Of course, it wasn't anything crude, you understand.
No.
No, I had the perfect scheme. I sold plots of land on Mars, plus free transport to the Venusians. Of course, when they landed on Mars, they found they had to work on the land for 40 years before it was theirs. But hard work never hurt anyone, did it? I'd be doing it still. Only some special agent from Unispace started digging around. Well, and that was it. One bright morning when I'm taking on a lovely big load of happy passengers, all looking forward to a new life on Mars, the patrol comes up and takes me away. I wouldn't mind meeting up with that agent who did it for me. Maybe I will yet.
Maybe.
I was talking about a partnership, mate. Of course, I'd bring something in with me. A sort of show of faith, you know?
Where did you get that?
Shh! I pinched it out of the toolkit when we were all waving Bob Slater goodbye just now. And it's an all-purpose one. It'll bite through these chains like a knife-cut string.
Here we are. Quite a picnic.
Yes.
Lots of lovely calories or vitamins or whatever they are.
Vitamins are any of a number of accessory food factors, chiefly on a very complex chemical composition present in many foodstuffs, especially in a raw state.
Oh, really?
Their absence from the diet is associated with malnutrition in various parts of the body.
Oh, good.
It isn't good at all.
It isn't?
Without vitamins, you suffer deficiency diseases.
Oh, that wouldn't be nice at all.
A calorie is a unit expressing the energy value of foods.
It's a bit dreary in a restaurant, though, isn't it? Good evening, waiter. What do you suggest I eat tonight? Well, sir, the vitamins are very good tonight. Chef's special, sir. Oh, really? Only I thought of having a piece of fried calorie.
Oh, you're ridiculous.
Well, do you think those two deficiency diseases over there would like some energy value? Here's some food. If you want it.
Just a drink could do me, Mr. Smith.
What about you, Ladiver?
Oh, just some water or lime juice.
I must say, you two are easy to please.
Model prisoners, that's us, Mr. Smith.
Yes, I can tell funny stories too. Now then, where's my 8-course dinner?
1 cream cheese sandwich coming up.
Beautifully cooked too. You know, you look much different when you smile. Why don't you do it more often?
Thanks very much.
Have I offended you? I'm sorry.
Why apologise? You don't mean it. You're the same as all of the others.
Oh, what others?
Men. They either treat me as a silly little girl who ought to know better than working and doing a man out of a job, or else they treat me like Dresden china.
I can see you belong to one of those 20th century groups, women are as good as men, and all that rubbish.
Well, they are.
As a matter of fact, they're better. I don't wonder men treat you like Dresden china. Do you know, there are 7 men to every girl on Earth?
7.5.
Oh, is that so? That's difficult, isn't it? Take 8 men going out with 7.5 girls. Which half does the unlucky 8th man get? I mean, does he take her out to dinner? Or does he take her dancing?
Just because there are fewer women doesn't mean to say they can't be intelligent or do the same jobs as men.
Of course not. I'm not saying that, Miss Clements. In the 20th century, it was everybody equal and opportunities for all. But these days, it just isn't necessary. You can have the pick of wonderful jobs on Earth. Why take a lonely, difficult job travelling space? I mean, I could understand it perhaps if you were ugly, but, I mean, you're not ugly, Miss Clements. Far from it. Why, you're absolutely not ugly.
Are you really interested?
Yes, I am.
Do you come from a large family?
Well, my father weighs 16 stone. Actually, I've got 3 brothers and a sister.
I had a brother who died when he was quite young. My father desperately wanted a son. You may have heard of him, Philip Clements.
Philip Clements? Is he your father? The famous research chemist, good heavens. It wasn't for him, I don't suppose space travel would have been possible. He revolutionised food packaging for one thing, and didn't he invent compressed water?
Yes.
When you can get 20 gallons into a quart container, you really solve your supply problems. It's all right, people building fast-as-light spaceships and all the rest, but it's food and water that matters when you get down to it.
He wanted a son to carry on his work. My brother died, and I just took his place.
I see.
Do you? Have you any idea what it's like to compete with men when you're a woman? A good idea is regarded as a lucky inspiration. A mistake that anyone could make is blown up out of all proportion. On Earth it's so easy, but out in space a girl has to be twice as intelligent, 3 times as quick and 4 times as strong.
Could I have some more water in this lime juice? There was no need to make that 4 times as strong.
What have I been talking to you for? You haven't taken in a word I've said. All you can do is make stupid jokes.
Done it. Are you coming?
Don't be a fool. He'll shoot us down before we can get 3 paces.
You've never seen me dodge, mate.
Have you killed him?
Anaesthetic bullet. He'll be out for a while, that's all. Don't try anything, Ladiver. Pick up slime. Chain his hands behind him. Make a good job of it. Why didn't you make a run for it too? I might not have hit the pair of you.
I was too busy thinking.
Oh, yes. There's something funny about you, my friend.
This whole business is funny, and I mean funny peculiar. Can I ask you a question?
If you want to go on a long walk by yourself, the answer's no.
Do you have radar scopes working on the spaceship?
It's standard equipment. You should know that.
Who operates the radar scopes?
Any one of us. Redway, Bob Slater, or me.
Then who's responsible for the radar scope before the meteorite storm?
Where's all this leading?
The radar scope on the ship would have warned of the meteorite storm. Why wasn't Redway informed that he would fly right into the path of it?
I don't know. What does it matter?
It matters this much. The meteorite storm deflected the course of the ship, bringing it near to Skaro. Then the radio pick fails to work, so the ship lands on the nearest planet, which happened to be Skaro. That's what I was thinking about. And don't tell me that I could have arranged a meteorite storm, because you know that's impossible.
Line tries to make a break for it. Somehow or other, he cut through the manacles.
I knew you'd try something. You seem to have handled this well, number one.
Thank you, sir.
Are you all right, my dear?
Yes. Mr. Smith was surprisingly efficient.
Thank you for those kind words.
We didn't have any luck with our search, I'm afraid. We searched as a pair and singly, but there wasn't a sign.
No trail in the dust and leaves, Redway. You were so confident.
Oh, the trail was there all right, but it just ended in the middle of a corridor. It simply didn't make sense.
It was as if the Dalek had been lifted off the ground, which was quite impossible. The ceiling above was absolutely solid.
It didn't occur to you that the Dalek might have gone back over its own tracks, I suppose. Look!
Be careful, Ladiver. I'm not taking my eyes off you.
What the blazes? Where's Bob Slater?
Your man must have pushed it on.
But I told him to take it to the ship. Why should he disobey my orders? Something must have happened to him.
Captain! Look, you can see it quite clearly. The track of a Dalek.
That wasn't there before. It's run over some of our own footsteps in the dust.
You think the Dalek pushed the trailer in here? Why? What possible purpose could it have?
I don't know, but that's what happened. Where's Bob Slater? That's what I want to know. Number one.
Move, Ladiver.
Did you have Ladiver in view the whole time I was gone?
Yes, the whole time.
Get down, all of you!
Leave this to me.
Don't be insane, they'll...
Not a word out of any of you. Whatever happens, that is an order. What do you think you're doing? Under international space security, Daleks are not allowed movement. I am Captain Redway.
You will come with us.
I say I am Captain Redway, and I order you...
You will come with us immediately.
Smith, the detonator gun!
Professor, you and the captain had them both.
Redway's got them. Look, they're hanging from his belt. Both of them.
Why doesn't he use them?
Move!
Oh, do something! Save him! You just let them take him. He tried to save us, and you let them take him away. They'll murder him, don't you understand? Murder him!
We couldn't do anything. He has the detonator guns. This anaesthetic gun's no good. Like a pea shooter against a tank.
They all had those black boxes on their backs.
But we've got the crate of black boxes here.
He's dead. And the crate's empty. The Daleks must have them all. We are up against the whole race of them now.